Dutch military has released a video of an overnight evacuation from Sudan. The flight had nearly 32 evacuees on board. 15 of them were Dutch. They were first evacuated to Jordan and will be taken to the Netherlands. Many countries are evacuating their nationals from Sudan. This comes as fighting continues in the country. More than 420 people have died in 1 week of clashes. Russia claims to have taken control of 3 districts in Bakhmut city. This comes as Ukrainian officials say that more weapon support is needed to launch a counter-offensive. The battle over Bakhmut has been going on for 8 months now and it has left the city in ruins. Meanwhile, Russia says that its air defense systems have destroyed 5 drones and intercepted 10 rockets. Turkey's defense minister has said he plans to meet his Syrian, Russian and Iranian counterparts in Moscow. This comes amidst efforts to rebuild ties between Ankara and Damascus. Defense Minister Hulusi Akar said the aim is to solve the problems through negotiations and to bring peace and tranquility to the region as soon as possible. The remarks by China's ambassador to France questioning the sovereignty of former Soviet states like Ukraine have drawn criticism. European leaders have called the remarks unacceptable. The Czech Foreign Minister said, and I quote, "I hope bosses of this ambassador will make these things straight." France, Ukraine and the 3 Baltic countries have expressed dismay over the statement. The president of the Central American nation of Guatemala has arrived in Taiwan. The aim is to reinforce diplomatic ties with the self-governed island. This trip comes after Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen visited Guatemala and Belize. These are the only 2 Central American countries that continue to favor Taiwan. Honduras recently severed its diplomatic ties with Taiwan and became China's ally. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol has departed for the US. He will hold a summit with US President Joe Biden. This comes at a time when South Korea faces North Korea's evolving nuclear and missile threats. The trip will be the first state visit to the US by a South Korean leader in 12 years. It will also mark the 70th anniversary of the 2 countries' alliance. The Brazilian government has released new footage of riots in Brasilia. This happened on January 8th when former President Jair Bolsonaro's supporters stormed government buildings. Footage shows how rioters wrapped in Brazilian flags accessed President Lula da Silva's office by force. The Supreme Court Justice had ordered Bolsonaro to testify before federal police about his role in the riots. Bolsonaro has denied any responsibility. At least 47 bodies, including those of children, have been dug out in the southeastern part of Kenya. Authorities launched an investigation into a suspected religious cult. Members of the cult believed that they would go to heaven if they starved themselves to death. Their leader, Paul McKenzie, is in custody and has denied any wrongdoing. Peruvian President Dina Boluarte has appointed 4 new ministers. This includes the head of justice. This is the second significant cabinet reshuffle she's carried out since coming to power in December last year. This comes weeks after Peru witnessed nationwide anti-government protests. Protesters demanded Boluarte's resignation and the release of former President Pedro Castillo from detention. Former Peruvian President Alejandro Toledo has returned to Peru from the US and has been imprisoned. The 77-year-old has been ordered to serve a pre-trial detention of 18 months inside a police base on the outskirts of the capital, Lima. Former Presidents Alberto Fujimori and Pedro Castillo are held at the same prison. Toledo has been accused of receiving $35 million in bribes. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Defence Minister Richard Marles have released the details of the country's defence strategy. It's been described as the most significant one since the Second World War. Marles said that Australia's decades-old territory-focused strategy was no longer fit for purpose. He added that Australia will shift its focus to deterring enemies before they reach its shores, at sea, in the air and on land. Around 2,000 migrants from various nationalities marched towards Mexico City. They were protesting against a fire that left around 40 people dead on March 27th. Mexican authorities said that the fire started when a migrant set ablaze a mattress. This was apparently done in protest against the possibility of deportation. CCTV footage showed that once the fire broke out, neither immigration nor security personnel did anything to evacuate the migrants. Former United Nations chief Ban Ki-moon has arrived in Myanmar. His visit comes as diplomatic efforts are on to end the crisis, which began with a military coup in February 2021. Ban Ki-moon is a member of the Elders Group of World Leaders founded by Nelson Mandela. It works to promote peace and diffuse conflicts. Ban Ki-moon met Myanmar's Deputy Ministers of Defense and Foreign Affairs. No more information has been revealed regarding his visit. The Indian Army and Chinese People's Liberation Army held the 18th round of military talks. The aim of the talks was to ease tensions along the line of actual control. The two sides have been locked in a border dispute over 3 years now. The talks come ahead of the Chinese Defense Minister's upcoming visit to India for a Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has tested positive for COVID-19 for the third time. He said while he's not seriously ill, he would take a few days off work. Obrador is 69 years old. He had a serious heart attack in 2013. He reported mild symptoms during his previous bouts of COVID. The US government may soon require natural gas-fired power plants to install technology to capture carbon emissions. The Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, is expected to unveil standards for new and existing power plants. This comes as US President Joe Biden pushes to decarbonize the power sector in the next 12 years. A study has revealed that media coverage on climate change is carried out in a way that doesn't provoke action. The study was published in the Global Environmental Change Scientific Journal. It points out that media coverage does not inspire pro-environmental behaviors needed to address climate crisis. Researchers have warned that the media's selective choice of certain elements of climate change research could backfire, provoking denial and avoidance. Nearly all children in Europe are exposed to air that falls below healthy standards. This is according to a new study. Breathing dirty air causes the premature death of at least 1,200 children in Europe each year. Children are particularly vulnerable to dirty air. Pollutants can have a permanent impact on their development, which can begin before their birth. 6 rare White Bengal Tiger cubs were born in a zoo in China's Henan province. These tigers are extremely endangered and thus need protection. Their birth is a rare occurrence and poses a huge challenge for zookeepers when it comes to rearing and caretaking. The zoo used the technique of artificial breeding in an incubator to make it easier for the mother tiger to bring up the cubs. Authorities in Thailand have warned residents to avoid going outdoors due to extreme heat. The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation has predicted that temperatures will exceed 40 degrees Celsius in at least 28 provinces. This comes at a time when many parts of Asia are reporting extreme heat this month. Fallen Swiss bank Credit Suisse has said that it lost $68 billion in outflows in the first quarter of 2023. The bank added that outflows are still continuing. Customer deposits in the bank reportedly declined by more than $75 billion in the quarter. The company said that most of the asset outflows were from its wealth management division. Financial giant Citigroup's Asia wealth revenue surged by 20% in the first quarter of 2023. The surge in revenue was helped by investment gains and insurance revenue. The bank also saw a jump in new private banking clients. This comes as wealthy Asian clients fled Credit Suisse after the fallout of the bank. Changing the market tonality, the bank also said that it plans to hire around 3,000 new staff for its Asia business. Standard Chartered had said that the value of cryptocurrency Bitcoin could reach $10,000. This could happen by the end of 2024. The cryptocurrency could gain from various factors, including an improvement in crypto mining. In April, Bitcoin crossed the $30,000 mark for the first time in 10 months. Audit firm Deloitte will reportedly cut around 1,200 positions in the US. This will account for 1.5% of its US workforce. According to reports, layoffs will be higher in areas such as the financial advisory business. Deloitte is part of the big four accounting firms that include EY, KPMG, and PwC. Ride-hailing app Lyft CEO David Risher has also said that the company will significantly cut jobs. The move is aimed at reducing the company's costs. According to media sources, the move could impact 4,000 employees. This would be nearly 30% of Lyft's workforce. However, reports also say that the company itself did not provide details on the number of staff that will be affected. Retail giant Amazon has defeated a private lawsuit in the Seattle federal court. The lawsuit accused the retailer of devising a scheme that curbed competition for shipping and fulfillment services. This allegedly caused consumers to pay more for purchases. However, the court said that the plaintiffs failed to provide enough evidence to sue the company over its logistics practice. Consumer goods maker Procter Gamble has again raised the average price of its products. The company raised prices across its categories by 10% during the first quarter. However, its customers, particularly in the US, have shown little resistance to the repeated price hikes. P&G is a leading home goods maker. Some of its brands include Gillette and Oral-B. Russian lender Cyberbank has released its artificial intelligence-powered chatbot. The chatbot is called GigaChat. It will supposedly rival the sensational ChatGPT. As of now, the chatbot is in an invite-only testing mode. Tech giant Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai reportedly received a total compensation of $226 million in 2022. This is said to be 800 times the median employee's pay. The pay disparity comes at a time when Alphabet's Google has been cutting jobs globally. The company announced its plans to cut 12,000 jobs around the world in January. An Irish state body has recommended the removal of the video app TikTok from government devices. This follows a ban from a number of Western countries, including Britain, the US, and several other European members. TikTok has been under massive scrutiny from governments and regulators over security concerns. Moving on to sports, in cricket, the Sydney Cricket Ground has named 2 stadium gates after Sachin Tendulkar and Brian Lara. The gate was named after Tendulkar as the cricket legend celebrated his 50th birthday today. After the gate unveiling ceremony, Tendulkar said that the Sydney Cricket Ground had been his favourite ground to play in outside of India. England's batsman Jonny Bairstow makes a comeback from his injury ahead of the Ashes Test series. The batter had suffered a freak leg injury on a golf course in September last year. Bairstow has indicated that he would like to resume wicket-keeping duties for the English team. Going to football. In yesterday's match, Manchester United beat Brighton 7-6 on penalties in the FA Cup semi-final at the Wembley Stadium. Both teams were held at a scoreless draw in the 120 minutes of action. United could not find a way to score against Brighton's goalkeeper. United's Victor Lindelof scored the match-winning penalty. Manchester City handed Sheffield United a 3-0 defeat at the Wembley Stadium on Saturday. Man City's Riyad Mahrez scored a hat-trick to secure a victory for his team. City will face arch rivals Manchester United in the FA Cup final. The Manchester derby will be played on the 3rd of June. Barcelona beat Atletico Madrid 1-0 on Sunday in a La Liga match. Ferran Torres scored for Barcelona in the 44th minute. Both teams created and missed many chances in the hard-fought game. Barcelona's win keeps them on top of the table and moves them closer to the La Liga title. Inter Milan striker Romelo Lukaku had his one-match ban overturned by Italy's Football Federation. Lukaku was banned after a second yellow card in a game against Juventus. After scoring a goal, Lukaku celebrated by putting a finger up to his mouth in front of Juventus fans. Italy's sports court had ruled that the celebration was provocative, handing Lukaku the ban. In tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic has pulled out of next week's Madrid Open. While no specific reason has been given for the withdrawal, Djokovic has been facing elbow issues lately. The 35-year-old Serbian player had back-to-back early exits from his last 2 tournaments. Djokovic lost to Lorenzo Musetti at the Monte Carlo and fellow Serbian Dusan Ljovic at the Banja Luka. In athletics, Kenya's Kelvin Kiptum broke the London Marathon men's record, clocking a time of 2 hours, 1 minute and 25 seconds. After crossing the finish line, the 23-year-old collapsed on the ground. Dutch athlete Sifan Hassan won the women's race, finishing in 2 hours, 18 minutes and 34 seconds. In her marathon debut, Hassan had to stop in the middle of the race after almost being taken out by a motorbike. Britain's four-time Olympian Mo Farah has announced that he will professionally compete for the last time in September. The 40-year-old will take part in the Great North Run Half Marathon as his last race. Farah announced his retirement after finishing 9th in the London Marathon. In archery, the first stage of the World Archery Championship 2023 concluded in Turkey's Antalya. The Indian side won 4 medals, including 2 golds, 1 silver and a bronze. Jyoti Surekha Venom won 2 gold medals in the individual and mixed categories. Fans of sci-fi film Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 are in for a treat. IMAX theatres have announced free early screenings of the film on the 28th of April. These special screenings will be held in 25 cities in the US and Canada. The film will officially release on the 5th of May. New posters from the upcoming film Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse are drawing fans to CinemaCon 2023. The show exhibits a total of 6 new posters featuring different characters from the film. The first look of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom was also launched at the show. CinemaCon is taking place in Las Vegas in the US. The 2016 horror film Terrifier is coming back to theatres. The slasher film features a serial killer called Art the Clown, played by actor David Howard Thornton. It'll be re-released on the 19th of July. The news comes within a year of the release of the film's 2022 sequel titled Terrifier 2. Streaming platform Prime Video is expanding its slate of Nordics originals, beginning with a documentary. Titled Take a Change, the documentary is based on pop band ABBA's Stalker. The 85-minute documentary will be released on the 19th of May. Streaming platform Disney Plus has cancelled adventure series National Treasure: Edge of History after just 1 season. The series starred actors Lizette Oliveira and Zuri Reed. The show is a television expansion of the National Treasure film franchise starring actor Nicolas Cage. New cast members for the action fantasy show The Wheel of Time have been announced. Danish actor Maja Simonsen and former Icelandic Olympic swimmer Raga Ragnars are part of the new cast. The show is based on author Robert Jordan's novel series of the same name. Actor Brian Cox has joined the upcoming competition show 007's Road to a Million. The show will take place at various James Bond film locations like Venice and the Scottish Highlands. The contestants on the show will be judged on intelligence and endurance. Winners will take home a prize of $1.2 million. Actor Zendaya made a surprise appearance at a music festival, Coachella. She performed with British singer Labyrinth. Zendaya sang 2 songs from her television series Euphoria. This made it her first appearance at the festival in over 5 years. Actor Matthew Perry has said he will remove references to actor Keanu Reeves from his memoir. Perry faced backlash for writing unfavorable comments about Reeves in his memoir titled Friends, Lovers and the Big Terrible Thing. The actor was speaking at the Los Angeles Times Festival of Book and said it was a mean thing to do. Dancing with the Stars judge and English dancer Len Goodman has died at the age of 78. Goodman was diagnosed with bone cancer in 2021. He retired from showbiz last year after season 31 of Dancing with the Stars to spend time with his family.